What's up, crew? What's going on? Hawks back here. Facts, Lies, One Truth Network. Jerry had a great episode yesterday. Really, tonight I'm recording this the same night that he recorded his. But yeah, great episode. Go check that out. I don't want to give it away. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I had talked about a lot of good stuff. Friday Bologna, Friday Bologna. Gotta love that. Anyway, a lot of good stuff. Got his new name out. Just posted. You can find us on Apple Podcasts as well. If you want to follow some more of an audio form, check us out audio style. Apple Podcasts. We just got on Amazon as well. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio. I didn't even know they did. We've been added to a couple different things now. So if you want to catch us on different kind of stations, host, find us there. I kind of want to get right into it today. I was pretty disappointed with USA Soccer last night, so I'm kind of still in a sour mood that's kind of lasting over the fact that they didn't make it out of their Copa America group. But that's what's going to happen, right? If you don't come prepared and you get a red card and lose one of your better players, and then you play a really good Uruguay team, stuff's going to happen, right? So it's not going to look good. But nonetheless, we're going to follow up here with the Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals. Worked there in 2014. If you missed part one, you can go check it. It was posted last week, video form, and it's also on Apple Podcasts as well if you want to catch part one in the audio form. But today's part two. So, yeah, we ended off with me kind of going down. Right, I got diagnosed with a hernia, went to the emergency room. They could hear my heartbeat in my hernia. Ended up having surgery and flying out. The very next day. So basically I got my, my painkillers and whatnot, dressed up in my suit the very next morning and flew out to Arizona for our last road preseason game in 2014. That was the season I worked for them. Pretty good year overall as we'll kind of figure out, I'll tell more stories down the road in that season to kind of give you a good picture of how good we really were and how many injuries we ended up having. Nonetheless, the last preseason game, you always play the same team every year. The Bengals always play the Indianapolis Colts because they're very close, right? They're only an hour and a half away or so, especially driving, and they take a bus every year to Indianapolis or vice versa. They come down here and play Cincinnati. I believe it was that year they came and played at Cincinnati because we were going to play them during the season, the regular season. As well, you'll learn more that we also played them in the playoffs as well that year. Ahmad Bradshaw, running back out of Marshall University, which is where I also went to school, was a pretty good running back that year as well in 2014. But they came down, they played us. It's a road trip for each team, and it's kind of cool, right? So the cool thing about being in the preseason is after that last game, right, we kind of got to work right into the week because we didn't have a road trip, right? We're not driving back. So we kind of worked right into that week. And my job specifically, just because during camp, or I call it training camp, fall camp, whatever, during that, I'm just working, right? Every day I'm shooting walkthrough. Every day I'm shooting practice, the 2-a-days. And then you're just kind of gearing up for the week with also, you're evaluating players looking to make cuts, right? I'm looking forward to the regular season and finally getting that middle seat open between Alex and I for every road trip, right? The first game of the season was at Baltimore. That's a flight trip. So that is extra Chick-fil-A, right? That is a big old gap between Alex and I, and we don't have to be bunched up, right? And it's not like we had like a player between us. It's usually one of the staff members that got to sit between us. So it wasn't like we were super bunched up, but yeah, no, we were pretty fired up, and my job during the regular season was Alex was in charge of special teams, right? So he was always in a lot earlier than me, at least an hour before me. So I came in a little later, and really kind of every week, and I started in preseason actually, is I was supposed to work with Marvin Lewis on highlight videos. I was the highlight guy. It's funny, that that's grown to be so much more now. Now they have a guy dedicated to that. I guess I was kind of the guy dedicated to that, but I also shot practice and it helped out with still shot, which we'll get into a little bit for the games, right? But I was supposed to work with Marvin every week on getting a message for the team. That's kind of what he liked to do. Wait, what kind of message does he want to send to the team that week? You know the classic football terms, right? Grit, grind, hustle, perseverance, adversity, opportunity. Right? We don't need to go on how many great football terms that you can use to motivate players, but I tried to get a sense with Marvin. I mean, a wonderful dude. I'm assuming he's not in coaching still today, is because he doesn't want to be. Obviously I don't keep ties with Marvin, but he was awesome. He treated everyone with respect. I can't tell you how many gifts I received from Marvin Lewis throughout the season, much less, because I couldn't even imagine how many gifts people got, when I'm not there. And I was only there a season, right? And I had coffee cups, a NFL bag that I actually still use to this day, right? It's a like a luggage bag. He got me a wine and like a wine and cheese set. What I mean by that is, like, it had the cutter and it had the little where you can serve it with the little knives, right, and the wine corks. So that's just 3 off the top of my head. And shoot, this is 10 years ago. So and I know I still have the coffee cups. I know my parents have a couple of them, actually, because I don't need. I get 6. I don't need 6. Yeah, I wasn't a big coffee drinker then. I'm a little bit bigger now. But anyway, we got a lot of gifts from Marvin, and working with him was like super cool. And I kind of respected him a lot. So the more that we worked together throughout that season, I got to really want to impress him, right? That's my job. That's what I'm here to do. So I try to predict what his message was each week. And I dabbled in some cool video stuff, right? The cool thing about being a video guy is you kind of have access to the NFL logs. And we call it video server. I go on Laban's terms here so everybody can understand it. It to every highlight, because NFL film shoots every game. And what I mean, shoot is they film every game. Sorry, shoot film. We're in the 1950s. But yeah, so I had access to every great highlight. So my stuff looked pretty good. You would think I shot it. Definitely didn't. I was just kind of putting clips on a timeline looking real fancy. And then, I could use any music that I wanted because it was only internal, right? So that was kind of cool. So generally, I try to stick to a rap song, but every now and then I try to mix it up and do like a rock song. But you got to go with what the players like, right? So, and then I would use the After Effects to kind of craft a cool message, like grit, grind, adversity, battle, and kind of like persevere, right? So he would come in a couple times a week, ask what I had, and it was random. I had to kind of be on my toes, so I try to get as much done as I could, especially kind of looking through the footage there. Definitely that Monday after the game, right? So, and then I try to kind of get my footage ready and on the timeline and kind of do a rough draft. So when he would come in, he would get a feeling for where I'm trying to go, and then try to bounce off of him where he wants to go. So that was pretty cool. But that was my job. So every week, I made a highlight film that the team watched at least on Saturday. If it was a West Coast trip, right, they'd watch it. No, they're still watching on Friday. We would travel Friday for a West Coast trip, and then we'd watch it still on Saturday. And because we have a team meeting every Saturday night, we'd watch it then. So if I wasn't making a highlight video, I was shooting practice. So I was the end zone guy. And Kent, if you're listening, I still have Kent on Facebook. My boss there at the Bengals, he was the sideline guy. What I mean by that is, you have a sideline shooter and you have an end zone shooter, right? You get a lot of the D line and the O line on the end zone shot, and then you get obviously the all 22 as they call it, and in the NFL, right? They go with the all 29 now. With some certain cameras there for that shot. But the teams all are using the all 22. And that's what Kent would do. And that's kind of the basic gist of how a practice would go, right? You have your drills and stuff like that. We would shoot most of the time. But other than that, we kind of roll through that each day, right? Alex was the on-the-field guy with the special teams. And he would run about halfway in and help Travis with editing all the practice film, right? So I would go up in a lift. I'm scared to death of heights. Can you believe it? I joined a video profession, and that you would get on scissor lifts. At UCF, we used boom lifts. When I went there later in my career after the Cincinnati Bengals, they used boom lifts, so those go even higher. I didn't get on those, but the scissor lifts, it doesn't matter how high it was going to be. I was terrified to get on those anyway, but I did. And it was right off the Ohio River, so the wind was blowing pretty good. And in the wintertime, oh boy, I tell you what, it got pretty damn cold. The cool thing about the Bengals, they always gave us a shit ton of gear. Right, and I'm talking dry fit shirts. I still have some today. Gave most to my dad. Jackets, shoes. I mean, a lot of people know that, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But the key thing is free hand warmers. Free hand warmers. So I bought some. I remember I did not know they gave away free hand warmers because obviously the players wore them a lot in their shoes. That was kind of what they did. I didn't know that. So I bought a whole box of them off of Amazon when I lived there in Cincinnati because I didn't want to freeze my balls off because I'm always out because, you're out there early at practice setting up and then, you're up there until it's over. So, you're looking at 2 hours, definitely more of just battling the elements, hopefully with your big jacket. And then I always put my hand warmers in my hands. I'd usually go like one on front, one on back, one on, boom, and then boom. So you get a full hand coverage. And then I try to put them in my shoes. I feel like that didn't really work a whole lot because, man, once it gets cold like that, it just penetrates the shoe and the skin. I don't know. I just didn't feel like the shoes didn't work that much. But either way, and we would do that each day. And I would film every day and pretty much have to defrost, I guess, so to speak, when it was over. I didn't do a ton of editing because usually when the practice was over, because we would drop our, I don't know how SD cards, probably not what people, it was an SD card, but we dropped those down. As practice would progress, so people could, my boss, Travis, and even Alex, when he was done filming, would edit the film. So right when the coaches and players come off the field, it's ready to watch. That's what a lot of people don't know is that, and that's what everybody does. The Bengals just didn't do that. Everybody does that. Right. So when the players and coaches come off the field, basically, remote Cowboys, some people call it, remote in hand, and they can immediately start watching and kind of getting ready for the week, evaluating players, looking to what they, walk through, because we also film walkthrough in the mornings and then practice usually in the evenings. And so they can kind of start, preparing for the week. So after that was over, we always got to eat. And that was a great thing too, as I know other organizations are better with the chef and whatnot, if you will. We did have a chef, so to speak, but, we got breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. You can't complain there, right? The snack kind of tapered off there after the, preseason and fall camp kind of ended there. But, we got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast always pretty early, right? 6:30 or so because they had special teams meeting. But it was always sausage biscuit, usually the same things every morning. And then they mixed up, the Friday. So if we're playing on Sunday, right, our last kind of walk through chill out day was, chill out day, practice day, as you want to quote unquote call it, was Friday. And it always did catered Friday. So it was P.F. Chang's. I mean, what do I remember P.F. Chang's so well? I have no idea. But they had a couple local spots that they would cater as well. So they try to mix it up for lunch, basically that lunch-ish dinner. Because I don't think we did dinner on Friday because most of the people got let out early in preparation for travel or whatever you had on that Saturday, right? Saturday, you also stayed in a hotel for home games. A lot of people don't know that. If you're not too familiar with how football works, is even on home games, the team also stays in a hotel. So that was a big deal too. And I'll get more into that here. Maybe part 3, we'll probably touch on that a little bit. And it might even go into part 4, but yeah, so that's kind of what I did every week, and I kind of worked with Marvin, and then on that Saturday, I was kind of in charge of helping Travis, and this is on home and road games for my boss, Travis, the head video coordinator, for setting up kind of the highlight room, right? You kind of set up the meeting rooms and whatnot at the hotel, just spoke about that, and I would help him set up the speakers and kind of get ready for the highlight. And, we kind of worked together on how, because Marvin's going to do a speech, right, that last team meeting before you go to bed, before the Sunday game. And he did a final speech, right, before the video was shown. And kind of did like here's the message that I'm about to say. It was kind of a cool lead up, I thought. And, we'd show the video. Some were hits, right? Some weeks I had great weeks. A lot of players loved them. And other weeks, they kind of fell flat. I do remember one time, Domata Peko, defensive tackle, average player. I mean, I don't think Peko listens, but I thought he was a great dude. He's not a Pro Bowler. Everybody thinks you're either great or shitty. He's an average player. Wasn't a Pro Bowler, but he was a starter. And I remember one time he came up to Travis, and it was like middle of the year, so I'm kind of skipping ahead here. And he goes, "Hey, who makes these?" And he said, our basically an intern, right? The lowest man on the totem pole, Corey. And he said, "Dude, it's like watching a movie trailer before we actually get into the video. It's like a movie. It's just like as it progresses, it tells a story." I don't know if that was a compliment. Some people just want to get hype and watch a hype video. I don't know if that's really what mine were, but it definitely told a story and kind of got people motivated with a message. So I kind of took it as a compliment and kind of kept that theme for the rest of the year. But yeah, it was cool. And they were always about 3 minutes long, and I ended up using them for my YouTube page later on. And kind of, I don't know if it got me a job later on in life, but it definitely spruced up the YouTube page. Anyway, we have part 3 coming up here probably next week. I'll come and release that. And I'm going to kind of do 15-minute bits each, as we progress along. Keep you guys up to date, my travels, my grind, and making very little money with the Cincinnati Bengals. Facts, Lies, and One Truth Network. See y'all.